Hei, tervetuloa jälleen Frankfurttiin. Mulla on tällä kertaa vieraana Alan Bester, tunnetaan myös nimellä Nahaz, joka toimii täällä analyytikkona. Hän oikeastaan niin matseja ennen ja matsejen jälkeen vähän kattelee, että miten nämä on mennyt ja miten nuo draftit oikein toimii. Ja mitä ehkä nuo joukkueet on sun tehdä eri tavalla tai toisin, tai mitä oikeastaan tekisit oikein ja kunnolla. Mutta lähdetään kyselemään, että miten menee. Hey Alan, I'm gonna switch to English now, easier for you. The first question I'm gonna start with is like, how did you get into the scene? You used to be a professor. I think you still are a professor.
I still am, yeah.
This
is still, nominally anyway, my hobby, although I've been spending more and more time doing it. The short version of the story is that I have a brother-in-law that's 14 years younger than me, and I was looking for a way to connect with him, and it just so happened that right before I went on vacation with my in-laws, including him, I watched Toby cast the first international. And so I brought up Dota with him, and it turns out he was a Warcraft 3 Dota player. And so he taught me the game.
So that was actually many years ago.
That was a few years ago, yeah. But I played the game for a couple years before realizing that there was a lot of statistics out there. There were a lot of numbers being collected for Dota. I had done sports statistics as a hobby, baseball and college basketball in particular, for a number of years. Realized that this was kind of a chance to get in on the ground floor, do some of that really fundamental research.
So first he worked with Join Dota, if I remember correctly.
Well, my very first experiences actually were with Shiver.
Oh, okay.
I met Shiver in Twitch chat, of all things, and did stats for a couple games, and then began working with Join Dota, and now I'm more or less freelance.
Okay. So how about ESL 1 Frankfurt? How have you enjoyed the event so far?
Oh, it's a great event. It's my second time here. I did this event last year, and this was easily my first event on this scale. Certainly I'm used to talking in front of people. I do that in a lecture for a living. But being up in front of a crowd of 10,000 fans, basically talking about a game that I love, I've been a gamer all my life, was a real thrill. And that was kind of last year around this time was when I got the sense I would want to do this, start doing a little bit more of this. And then, of course, this year I end up devoting a lot of my time to it.
Okay. I really have to ask this. At the time of this interview, spoiler alert, sorry, Liquid just kicked out of the tournament by OG. Who do you think will win? Is it OG? Are they going to take it?
I can't bet against OG the way they're playing right now. Liquid, I think, are very, very strong. I would pick them against any other team.
Yeah.
But I think that OG are just playing on another level right now. I think certainly there is plenty of room for innovation left in the current metagame in Dota 2. I think a lot is going to change in the next couple of weeks as these teams build up for TI, but right now OG are pretty tough to beat.
Okay, so this weekend, in a couple of hours, they're going to take the entire thing.
I think so, yes.
Doesn't matter if it's Vega or Navi.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, there you have it. It's been a couple of weeks, and Pyrian Flax posted a thread on Reddit saying that the esports tournament organizers need to be on point in their scheduling. The problem is freelancers like you're given a couple of days notice at best to come up to these huge events, and you have to book, I don't know, half a week or an entire week to do this thing. How do you think tournament organizers can improve on their track record?
I do think there needs to be more advanced planning for a couple different reasons. It isn't all selfish. Of course, the point that Pyrian's making, and this very much affects me as well. I have a wife, I have a job, I have a 2-year-old daughter. It's Father's Day today. But my wife and I a couple of weeks ago were in the situations where my wife is looking at me saying, hey honey, I'd really like to know if you're going to be out of the country for 3 weeks starting 10 days from now, because she's got to make travel decisions. She also has an academic job.
Yeah.
She travels to conferences as well. So she's got to make travel decisions. We've got to make childcare decisions. And it's fine because most of the talent in esports, of course, are very young. They don't have these kinds of commitments to worry about. But as you get a more diverse set of talent in the scene, that advanced planning, it means a lot. The other thing that you run into is, unlike in League, where there are very organized and structured splits each season, in Dota 2, the teams are actually making their own decisions about which tournaments to play. And it really messes with teams' schedules when, especially the major dates, are not known so far in advance. And it really is, ESL is actually one of the better sort of companies in this regard in terms of giving people notice. Valve is, as great as many of the things that Valve do for the scene are, one of the things that they're one of the worst offenders at is deciding things at the last minute.
Oh, sounds bad. Sounds really bad. Do you think this is something that they'll work on in the coming years?
I hope so. I really do. I think the dates of the majors being set in advance is a necessary step to promote stability across the scene, not just a quality of life for talent kind of thing, but a quality of competition. Because tournaments like this, you're looking at ESL right now, and the invitations for TI are probably going to come out within 48 hours of this tournament ending, because open qualifiers start just after that.
Yeah.
And the other event that I used as an example was WePlay. WePlay had set its dates, several months in advance, and they actually ended up conflicting with the open qualifiers for Manila, and that hurts a third-party tournament like them quite a lot.
Yeah.
So planning in advance. It's not just making life a lot easier for me. It's making life a lot easier for teams. It's giving the scene a lot more stable, competitive structure.
So the organizers also need to work together and talk to each other about this, like their schedules.
What I think is a next step for several reasons. That can get into a lengthy conversation, but I really do believe that we need some kind of league structure in Dota 2 going forward. One of the issues that I pointed out is after the Shanghai major, 5 out of the top 8 teams at that major played 3 matches or fewer within the month afterward. And that's very, very destructive when you're talking about the majors of the time you're going to pull new fans in. You want to keep that momentum. You want to fans see Secret win that tournament. I'm a Secret fan now. I want to watch them play. Well, you can't. They're not going to play for another month, okay? And that's, again, having more regularly announced dates would I think, help with that stagnation problem. And I do think the bigger organizers like ESL and StarLadder forming a structured league where the top teams would have more incentive to regularly compete both online and offline. It's kind of the next necessary step for Dota 2.
Hopefully that'll happen. It might take some time, but let's hope for the best.
It is a non-trivial organizational problem. These are a lot of organizations that all have their own interests, their own history. I've worked with a number of them now. They're all great people, but they think about the game and they think about the product very differently. So getting them all to coordinate, getting Valve to coordinate is a non-trivial problem, but I really do believe it's the next big thing we need to worry about if we want Dota 2 to continue growing as it already has.
Right after this event is finished, pretty much from tomorrow onwards, we're all going to be thinking about TI6.
Oh, we're going to
right?
potentially hours. I mean, we're talking about the TI6 invites will potentially come within hours of this event, and certainly within 2 days.
Your top 3 picks for TI6?
Oh, I think I think you ask most of the talent around the scene right now, and they're going to tell you OG, Liquid, and Newbie. A few people are going to throw LGD in there just because of the immense talent on that roster, the Zhao 8 factor. But I think given the level at which we've seen Newbie play on the last couple of months, they're my 3rd pick right now for sure.
Okay, any potential upsets that we should be watching out for?
I mean, it's difficult to say because when we were looking at the Frankfurt major and to some extent the Shanghai major, those were very mature metas that people had figured the game out. Right now there's a lot more uncertainty in terms of which heroes are good. There's a lot more hero combinations out there I feel have not been explored. So there's a lot more room for a team like, say, Navi to innovate between now and TI to come up with some strategies that we haven't yet seen run at the competitive level. But I think any team out there right now, certainly Fnatic and MVP, the way that they play their own styles. They have some very distinctive things that they do better than just about any other team. Their threats to go deep. You look at a team like Wings that really disappointed at the Manila Major, but they still have a style that's very difficult to play against. They have some potential. Vici Gaming Reborn could play their way in behind FY. A lot of teams out there that can threaten, and I think that's why Tier 1 Dota 2 is so much fun to watch right now. But it's going to be a tall order to dethrone that top 3.
Sounds like a very good insight. We're running out of time, so one last question.
Sure.
Throw out a number, prize pool for TI6.
21 million.
21 million, there you have it. Thank you very much, Alan, for sitting down with me.
You're welcome.
And muistakaa katsoa rhl.comista lisää Frankfurt-sisältöä, kun me sen laitetaan. Nähdään seuraavassa videossa. Kiitos.